What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again. I'm cold. This is just a video, really, midweek video. Obviously, there's been some recent news regarding one of the teams that we're in a relegation battle with, Leeds. They've sacked their manager and they've brought in Sam Allardyce. I'm going to be straight. I think Leeds are going to really struggle to pick up points. I think they might get one against Spurs, and I think they might get one away at West Ham. But apart from that, I don't see them picking up any more points. So, if I look at the teams that I suspect to go down, we're in the mix. You know, there's 4 or 5 teams in that mix that, you know, we're battling over 3 places. Let's be honest. So, Southampton are down. Southampton are relegated. So, you've got Southampton who are going to finish 20th. But they're still playing a huge part in this relegation battle. They've got Nottingham Forest this weekend. Now, if Southampton feel like there's any way of getting out of it, they have to beat Forest. And wouldn't it be interesting if they put the cat amongst the pigeons, really, and, you know, they did go and get a result. Tough place to go, we know that ourselves, but wouldn't it be interesting? And then on top of that, Forest have probably got, I'd probably say the easiest of the run-ins, albeit it's not easy. I don't think any of the run-ins are particularly easy, but I would argue that they've got probably the easiest. There's 2 games that Everton could get points in, I'd argue. I still think Everton could get 3 at home to Bournemouth, and I'm on the fence about Wolves. I'm hoping for 3 points away at Wolves, but we've won 1 game away all season, so I'm not confident, but I certainly think there's one there. Do I think 33 points is enough to keep us up? I don't know. I don't know. So what I did is I went through all the calculations of all the teams that are in and around us, and I predicted that Everton stay up on goal difference. And I predicted that Leeds and Everton finish on exactly the same points, which was 33. The only positive is they get battered against Manchester City like 5-0, and that throws the goal difference our way. I don't think it will be as much as a battering at Goodison as it will be for them at the Etihad. I'm pretty sure they're going to the Etihad. Pretty sure. They've also got to play Spurs. They've got West Ham. I just don't necessarily see them picking up loads of points. Forest could easily pick up points against Chelsea. They could pick up points against Southampton. There's games there Forest can certainly get points. They can certainly drag themselves out of it. But yeah, I predicted that Everton finish with massive 3 points on deadline day, which keep us in the Premier League. And I've got to be honest, I really hope by an absolute miracle that we're not relying on that game, because the last times I've seen us play Bournemouth, we've been battered. We've been battered twice this season. The season they went down, they beat us 4-1. Last game of the season at Goodison Park, it was embarrassing. I hate playing Bournemouth at Goodison. You know, I remember us being, I think it was it 3-1 up and we ended up losing 4-3 or something. I remember that game as well. I just hate playing Bournemouth. They always seem to have this knack of getting something, and I hate the fact we're finishing the season to them. And I hate the fact that they're finishing so far ahead of us. You know, with a manager that's managed to turn it round for them to a degree. I hate it. So you've got Forest, you've got Everton, you've got Leeds, and the other team obviously is Leicester. And I always thought Everton, I was worried about that Leicester game, because I actually thought, they've turned a corner. Jamie Vardy looked good in the game before, and he came into that Everton game and look, he could have easily scored 2-3, couldn't he? He hit the crossbar. There was a penalty that he could have took, but Maddison took and fluffed it. And he obviously scores his goal. But Everton were well in that game. You know, I didn't do a match reaction because I made a point. I told you guys, I've made a point of I'm not going to drill into the match reactions the last 4 games this season. I'm not going to do it because what we need is belief. We need belief. There's no point in me coming on here and crucifying players because it kind of doesn't matter who Sean Dyche plays. You know, I've got my opinions, and I certainly didn't agree with some of the tactics that were deployed at Leicester. But I just don't see the point getting on his back at the minute. It's almost like we need to unite, and fight a battle with a bunch of players that showed fight, showed heart, showed determination. You know, Everton should have been... We should have won that game. You know, we should have won that game. Their goalkeeper keeps them in it. You know, it would have been easier for Decore to score, and the keeper makes a fantastic save, not even looking at the ball. You know, he goes around the defender and he still manages to get there. He made some great saves in the first half. Calvert-Lewin misses a sitter. You know, there was a couple of headers that went over the bar. Everton were better than Leicester, and bearing in mind 10 weeks ago, or whenever it was, 8 weeks ago, this Leicester side came to Goodison Park, who were bottom of the league at the time, and dipped us 2-0. It was a vast improvement. My concern is defensively. Everton just can't defend. They can't. It's really, really weird. You know, it's almost like they go forward, they concede, they sit back, they can't score, and that's just the mess that it's been in. I don't think Everton. You know, I don't think anyone would judge me for saying I don't think any team that scores only 27 goals in the Premier League after 34 games of football deserves to stay in the league. And if you also bearing in mind, there's been games recently where we've scored twice. So you really can see how horrendous the goals have been. You know, Everton scored 3 against Palace. It doesn't bode well, does it? It doesn't bode well at all. But Everton have got to find a way of getting, in my opinion, 6 points. They have to get 6 points because I think 35 points, I think that's enough. I think that keeps us in the Premier League. I think it's gonna be horrible. It's gonna go down to the wire. But Everton have to do something. They have to do. It's got to be a miracle. It's got to be a miracle, you know, because we're currently sitting 19th in the league. The teams outside the relegation zone will feel a little bit more positive than Everton will. But let's be honest. We are in this situation because it's been a prolonged period of time, and you know, we sat down last season after the game against Palace, and then obviously we finished the season in a horrendous fashion, really. Let's be honest, it was horrendous, the last game of the season. You could see they was on the beach. They played Arsenal and got absolutely embarrassed. I just hope this season, like last season, they learn from it. You know, they learn from it. They do something different. But I have real reservations about this board. And then there's rumours about significant investment going into Everton and what that looks like. But the simple fact of the matter is, I still think if you've got some of these clowns that are on the board now, you know, involved in even more money and more opportunity, and I just think it's a mess. You know, when you look at teams like Newcastle, where, by the way, there's a really weird rivalry going on Twitter at the minute. Absolutely weird. Who's the biggest club, Everton or Newcastle? It's the most redundant, stupid conversation I think I've seen. But, you know, if Newcastle fans believe they're bigger, then so be it. I'm not bothered. I'm not going to lose sleep over what they think. I have nothing against Newcastle fans, but it's such a weird rivalry. It's odd. But I think Everton just have to learn. Because as I was saying, you know, Newcastle, you know, this time last season, they were arguably safe, or they were thereabouts. But literally, 6 games before, they were in the bottom 3. You know, they were really struggling, and Eddie Howe has come in And over the last 18 months, he's turned this Newcastle side into a sensational team. Played great football, aggressive, attacking. You know, did a right job on us at Goodison Park when, you know, we as fans threw everything at that game, and they weren't bothered, they weren't phased. And you see it with other teams, Brentford, Brighton. You know, they invest smartly. They bring in players who have got points to prove, or maybe not necessarily heard of. You know, maybe the under the radar signings, and they do phenomenally well. Everton don't do that. You know, we don't do that. And, you know, this is where it's all got to change. Look, I'll give you my analysis of the managers at the end of the season. I'll give you my analysis of the players. I'll do it individually. But what I know for sure is that this manager and this team is just going to get backed. And I'll do all the negativity after. If you're asking me right now who's the teams that are going down, I would say Southampton, Leeds and Forest. But it's more hope than judgment. Guys, it's been a pleasure as always. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Nice short and sweet video. Match preview will be out tomorrow. Match preview will be out tomorrow. And I will see you then. Peace.